And we're back. Hello again for part three. We're going to talk a little bit more about the ins and outs of the program, kind of how it works and what your experience was with that. First things first, did you have any concerns going into it? I mean, random dude. It's like, hey, got this program. It's going to be great. I think you should do it. What were your concerns about whether or not it was possible?
Well, it was people we didn't know. And so not only we didn't, know the coach, but we don't know the people going on into this with us. And it was a little daunting because it is my professional and my personal life. And I don't think we talk about it in society enough. And so it was really a little nerve-wracking going into this first, meeting and meeting the other participants. It was a little, it was nerve-wracking.
Any other specific, and you can answer this too, Amy, like any specific like ideas you had, like, well, I don't know these people is pretty clear, but like, how much time is it going to take? I imagine that came up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I am definitely, I want the biggest bang for my buck type person. And with being, a full-time mom and a full-time teacher, and we were moving and selling our house, like I did not want to invest time into something I wasn't going to see returns in. And I was not, I would say I was really nervous about not knowing, the coach and not knowing the other people that were doing it, what their life story is like, if the skills are going to be meaningful and lasting. And, the last thing I wanted to do is to feel like I'm sitting in a professional development, like, not a good use of my time.
Sorry, yeah, that's why I created this, but yes. Like those are not the most useful time-wise or formatting-wise. Did this format work for you?
Yeah, I really liked it because there were parts of it that were, a little bit more set in stone, and having that accountability and having that face-to-face time, like with the calls and coaching sessions. But then you also had flexibility with, for example, doing like the weekly exercises. Those were done online and kind of on our own time and own schedule. And that was just really helpful for me in terms of, with our job, we kind of have demands that go up and down, whether it's report card season or conferences or whatever the situation. And then just our home lives do that as well. So it's really hard to be like, you have to, devote 3 hours a week at this set time every day, and you have to be there. That's really hard. So I appreciated having the flexibility of both an online component and a more face-to-face component as well.
Yeah, I really liked that the assignments or the weekly exercises were assigned on a Sunday and they were due the next week. And so you had a full week to kind of try out that exercise with all the different hats. So I got to think about it at work, and I got to think about it at home, and I got to think about these things with conversations with people that I, wouldn't have thought of. And so it was really insightful throughout the week to really sit in that place of learning and noticing and saying, I didn't originally think that outcome was there or that feeling was there. And given the format and the time frame, I just got time to process and really go deep with it.
Great. Love it. What was it like to be coached for both of you? Did you have any preconceived notions about that? I come across people and it's like, oh, coach. And it's like, unless they've had one before, they don't really know what to expect.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. When I first started, I was like, oh boy, like now we got a life coach coming in here.
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
It's not a great term. It's personal development coach, but yeah, I get it.
I would say I wasn't in the mindset of thinking it was going to be anything mind-blowing or it was going to be anything necessarily even worthwhile. And I think it was, it definitely exceeded my expectations of what I had the preconceived notion of. I would say that I was very nervous for some of the group calls. just because I think as a human, you're afraid of being judged or afraid of, well, you also don't want to think about all the negativity that's going on in your mind, whether that be about your career or your personal life, let alone displaying that for a complete stranger.
Strangers.
Strangers, a group of people. So I think it was really kind of nerve-wracking at first, but seeing other people go through that experience as well and being coached and also being coached personally, I feel like I got a lot out of it in both lenses. And I was able to see a lot of connections and see a lot of overlap, even though we had completely different issues that we were talking about or being coached on. And I found that to be really meaningful to have that connection.
Yeah, it was, I was nervous because going into it with a coworker, it was like, what if those personal things come up and, ooh, what's she going to think of me when we go to work? And it was so funny because as soon as we logged on and the conversation started going and the coaching started, it was like, oh, human. Yeah, we're good. And I saw a lot of follow through. So we would have the coaching calls and they would go really deep. And then the next day, there wasn't that like emotional hangover that I was afraid of going into it. Like, oh, I'm going to go so deep and my heart's just going to rip wide open. And it was like, oh, I found a lot of my feelings reflected in other people's calls and coaching too. So it was really powerful.
Yeah. And I would say I was one of the first people to be coached in the group as a group setting. And I was really nervous having that with a coworker and other peers that were in education because it was about my career. And I really didn't want, I was just really nervous of that rejection or what that would look like, displaying my own fears or negative thoughts. And so kind of like what she was saying is it was really nice when it was like, oh, well, other people feel that same way. And other people also feel very overwhelmed or feel like there's negative feelings about things. And then how to overcome that and see that in other people as well was really helpful. And I think that a lot of educators would get a lot of benefit out of that because it can feel very isolating in that job.
So you're telling me it was worth it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And, the big question is it worth the discomfort that you would experience to actually go through and be coached? I know you mentioned, Jolene, the expectation that it was like, I'm going so deep, I'm going to feel this, as if it were like a therapy session where you go so deep and then it's like you're get that kind of numb, fuzzy feeling inside for like a day or so. But really the experience is more like, I'll let you speak to the experience after a breakthrough.
Yeah, it was like a breath of fresh air. And I know that sounds pretty cliche, but it wasn't rip your heart out. It was like taking it from here, just running around like a hamster wheel to here's this one thing. And it was like, oh, if I just got it out of my head, even just saying it, and having other people hear it and be like, yes, I connect with that. Just stop the hamster wheel. And it was like, oh, so you mean I'm not alone when I'm stressed out at my job? Wow, what a concept.
Yeah.
So it was really refreshing and really clarifying too for me.
Yeah, clarifying. Good word.
Yeah.
Good word. Did anything surprise you about the program?
Well, I was
or surprise you about yourself in the program. You say that too.
Yeah, I was going to say I was kind of surprised on how much I got out of it. I was kind of expecting it to be very...
I'm so offended, Amy. I could see you looking, going, oh, is he going to be offended? The answer is no. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just kind of expecting it to be a little bit more surface level and just like, oh, here's some things you can do and, that kind of thing. But
the typical workshop or conference.
Yeah, which was great for like the first week. And it was great when you modeled it and then we went into our classroom and did it. And then 2 months down the road, we don't do it again, or type of thing. So I was just really surprised of how helpful it was, both in my professional and personal life. And I kind of like what Jolene was saying, is I feel like it is a ripple effect of just how I connect to different changes or opportunities that are going on at our school, and just my relationships with my coworkers and how I interact with them, and with my students and my family, and just also having a lot of clarity of who I am as a person, and who I am, what I want my vision of myself as a person and as a teacher, and all the other hats that I wear, mom and all that kind of stuff. It was just very uplifting to have clarity on that. And I think that allows me to dedicate my time and energy into activities and opportunities that promote that vision, and not spend so much time on all these things are taking away from it, but to really, really not have tunnel vision, but to really decipher what is meaningful to me and what's going to help me reach that vision, and then how to manipulate situations that are less desirable that I think of.
Great.
Yeah.
And as you're saying this, I'm just hearing the mission: educators seen, heard, supported, to have thriving personal and professional life, so they can focus on making the impact they're here to make. I just thank you. I mean, you're expressing the exact mission, so well done. Nothing more to it. Jolene, how about you? And then we'll go to our final question after you have a chance to say if there was anything that surprised you.
Yeah, I just felt, I was really worried about how the rest of my school year was going to play out. I had set my mindset in stone of this is how it was going to go and this is how I was going to feel. And so what really surprised me is just that passion for my job really coming in full force again, and reigniting this idea that I love kids and I love connecting with kids and empowering kids. And that's something that had kind of dwindled for me, and something that I had kind of hidden, I guess. And so it surprised me that when we worked through it and kind of opened that layer back up, it was like, oh, it hasn't gone down at all. I just layered other junk over the top of it. And when we got down to the bottom of it, it was like, yeah, that was always there and it will always be there. And that surprised me.
Consider yourself unjunked.
Yes.
Ta-da! Pulling the Jolene out of the hat, the junk hat. That's great. Thank you for that. I love how playful we can be here. This is great. So final thoughts, message to others, why anyone may or may not want to do it. Just what do you want to say to people?
Oh, geez. Just do it. Yeah. It's great. It's the gift that I didn't really know I needed. And then looking back, it's like, I don't know how I could have started this year or done this job without this. It really, I noticed my energy levels really are high now. And so I just feel so in love with life again, both personal, professional, in my relationships and my connections. It was just, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I mean, just do it. I think the biggest excuse people give is that they don't have time and that they're tired, and they, you spend all day in class and sometimes all evening grading papers or doing this or prepping for the next day. The last thing you want to do is a whole nother, course. But I mean, it's not like my workload has gotten any smaller, but I feel 100% better. Absolutely. About my job, about myself, about my family, about the relationships I have with students and at my administration and my coworkers, and just a sense of peace in my job. I don't want to say peace like it's quiet in my classroom, because that doesn't happen.
If only we could.
Yeah. But just feeling, yeah, just feeling peaceful and joyful about a career that I am really passionate about, and that so many people start passionate about and then end up dwindling or burning out, and just not to let that happen to them.
Yep. Thank you so much. And 50% in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
It's teachers specifically, that's not the only people the program works with, but
right.
Teachers specifically will leave the profession, costing their schools and districts $5,000 to $20,000 every single time someone leaves.
Yeah. And students and families, because I'm sure that those were good teachers that got burnt out. Yep.
Absolutely. You said you worried that you didn't have the time to do it. And I would say people don't have the time not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Given the current state of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I would say I have 2 young children. I work full time. We were remodeling a house. We were moving. And I was taking Spanish lessons. If I can do it, they can do it.
You're taking Spanish lessons too? Wow.
Part of my vision, Michael. It's part of my vision. I got
time
for it.
Wait. You went from tell this story really quick. I mean, we're way over time, but I don't really care. People come this far with us. They're going to go the whole way. So go for it.
Well, it's always been a life dream of mine to be bilingual. And I took a lot of classes in high school and in college. But I just never pursued it and just never thought I would, I was just like, oh, I'm never going to get there. And it's so embarrassing to speak Spanish in front of people because I sound like an English speaker, a native English speaker. And I just never did it. And it's always been a dream of mine. And ever since I was in high school or so. And, it's been quite a while since I was in high school. And, I re-enrolled in my Spanish classes, and now I speak it in class quite frequently. I do all of my directions in both English and Spanish, and my students, I have a high Hispanic population, and they are really helping me and just feeling more comfortable speaking with them since they're native Spanish speakers and their families. And it's just great. And I mean, I have worked at this type of a school for almost 10 years, and I've never done it because I've always relied on interpreters, and I've always been afraid, and I just never did it because I always made excuses as to why not. And now I'm taking my Spanish classes. I'm speaking Spanish. It's not perfect, but you know what? It will get there. It will get there. And it's just great because it's part of my vision of who I am as a person, and it feels great to do something that balances out personally and professionally, and just to do it. Just do it.
I'm so stinking happy we could support you to step into your vision more fully and really create that for yourself and all the students that feel more included.
I know.
The Hispanic students who feel more included as a result.
Absolutely.
So, wow. Thank you both so much for this. I hope this reaches all the people and they can experience some of the same results that you've gotten to. So, and I know that more people from your school are going to be jumping on as well, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being courageous and joining this program. Thank you for being willing to do this promotional video. Just tell me, you're not being paid to do this, correct?
No, we never are as teachers.
No.
Whoa there. Oh, good one.
That's why you know that we're in it for the good reasons.
Good point. Well, this has been just almost too much fun. I mean, do this every week, shall we? No, I'm not going to do this every week. But this was great, and I will be in touch with both of you. And thank you. Yeah, awesome. All right. Bye.
Bye.